great discussion there, and we're hopping on to kind of our next upcoming talk as well. We are talking about Polkadot DeFi. We got amazing panelists here. We have, let's bring them on stage actually. We got Dustin Lee from Darwinia, Megan Sky from Itering Technologies, and Robinson from Acala. And today's topic, we're going to talk about Polkadot, where it is currently in terms of DeFi, and what we can look out for the future. Let's start from Dustin, do a quick intro.
Hello, my name is Dustin Lee. I'm part of the Darwinia and Evolution Land business development team.
And Megan?
Hi there, my name is Megan, and I work with Itering Technologies, or a blockchain company, and have products like Darwinia Network, Evolution Land, and the popular blockchain explorer for Polkadot, Subscan.io.
And last but not least, we got Robinson.
Yeah, thanks, Justin. Happy to be here. My name is Robinson. I lead growth and ecosystem development at Acala and Kura on Polkadot.
Great. Well, this panel is about Polkadot DeFi. I guess for those that don't know too much about Polkadot, I'd love to hear from your guys' perspective on what's been going on in Polkadot, Kusama lands, and then we can just for like just even a short, quick intro about that, and then we can dive into some of the topics here for DeFi.
Yeah, I'm happy to kick off here, I guess. So for those of you who aren't familiar, when it comes to Polkadot, it's actually quite new. I think the actual asset or token, as people know it, so DOT has been around for a while. But when it comes to the actual functionality and tech and delivering value to the end users, the foundational tech of Polkadot, right? So having all of these parachains that can communicate with each other has actually only been live for a few months. So that's XCM. And then beyond that, the parachains themselves, so these application-specific blockchains, so for instance, Acala, focusing specifically on DeFi, have only been around for a few months beyond that. So when it comes to Polkadot, I think there's this idea that it's been around for a while, but where's the action? And I think what's really exciting for a lot of the builders in the space now is that this is the time where that action is starting to happen and we're starting to build because of obviously the parachains launching, this foundational tech that enables us to communicate, send assets, et cetera. So overall, it's a really exciting time.
That's great. Yeah, I wanted to add to that. Yeah, that's so we've been focusing on the foundational aspect of Polkadot ecosystem for many years here, and projects such as Darwinia has seen this alignment very early on that have built within the substrate ecosystem, and have recently won a parachain auction. But yeah, these foundational layers in every aspect when it comes to these chains are facilitating different facets in the space. But it's becoming more robust in this last year. So we've seen a lot of progression, especially DeFi space, and having this cross-chain messaging in between our chains, and having this more multi-chain ecosystem that we have foreseen. So it is a very exciting times for our ecosystem, and also other outside ecosystems that we are intending to connect with in the future. So it's exciting times.
Yeah, very exciting times indeed. Polkadot's going on a few years old now, and we've been building for a long time, but now is really all the foundation and infrastructure has been built, and we're moving on with actually integrating between projects and parachains. So that's like the next step towards getting Polkadot working and functional the way that Gavin and other founders of Polkadot envisioned.
Yeah, and this Polkadot, I guess, is the idea of a cross-chain future, and the idea with for those that are new, Polkadot itself, or Kusama, is kind of considered as a layer 0, and then all these other parachains that are plugging into the ecosystem are the layer 1s, and then obviously each of those layer 1s will have their own dApps into it as well. But is the idea from this concept too is that with Polkadot as a layer 0 to kind of sit in the middle of everybody, that allows for people to trade across the different chains, right, and still act independently. Is that how Polkadot is run? I don't know if you, Robinson, maybe you want to talk about more about that.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. I think the beauty of Polkadot is that there's a shared security. A lot of the infrastructure is built, so all of these chains can focus on individual use cases. So it's almost like a shopping center, if you will, maybe to use that analogy, right? So you have all these shops that are focused on what they do best. So for instance, Acala, we focus on DeFi, more specifically AUSD, our over collateralized stablecoin. And we are able to kind of rely on Polkadot, the foundational tech there, the shared security, and again, do what we do best. And then via XCM, like everyone's been talking about, we can work with, let's say, Centrifuge, right? And connect a DeFi and real world assets using AUSD and building pools there. We can connect with Interlay and trustless BTC and setting up like DeFi pools on Acala. So I think the overarching idea that I really want to drive home is that specialization is what's so important. So the end user and what they experience is what we're after, and the more we can specialize on doing what we do best, the better chance we have at delivering a good experience for them.
Definitely, and also too, I want to say congrats too for the Darwinia team as well for you guys winning the parachain auction as well. That's a huge achievement.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, for those that are kind of just hopping in, now that you guys completed your guys' parachain auction as well, kind of what does the future look like next for the milestones? Now that you won an auction, is it like turning on the mainnet on Polkadot, or like how does that look like once you guys complete the winning the auction itself?
So it's been a long time coming for us, and we're really happy to be onboarding with so many other great projects on Polkadot. And of course, Darwinia's Crab Parachain won the 22nd auction on Kusama. So now with our Polkadot Parachain, our network is really coming together. So being a bridge messaging network, we will be focusing on routing as the next step. So basically what that means is in practical terms, there's some problems when it comes to getting cross-chain apps to work properly on Polkadot right now. Say if a substrate-based chain doesn't have a built-in EVM, they have difficulty utilizing the features of some generalized cross-chain bridges. Like, for example, they can't use XCM to talk to Ethereum. So that's the problem we're addressing right now and making it our top priority so that projects in the Polkadot and Kusama ecosystem will be able to use XCM to talk to EVM chains through Darwinia and Crab.
Yeah, and back to you too, also Robinson as well. You guys are building essentially kind of a DeFi, I guess the DeFi plumbing and foundation for, I guess, to power all the other parachains out there. You guys are building AUSD, which is, I assume is Acala USD, your guys' own stablecoins. And that's kind of an important topic that I kind of want to just jump into is kind of like, what's your guys' perspective on, the current state of stablecoins? I heard that you guys are talking about, you guys are, your guys' AUSD is like over collateralized as well too.
Yeah. So I guess I can give like a state of the union, so to speak. But when we think about stablecoins, and you're exactly right. So Acala is focused on AUSD, which is an over collateralized stablecoin. You can think about it. Most people are familiar with MakerDAO or DAI. You can think about it as the DAI of Polkadot. We've done a few things to help facilitate liquidations, improve upon their model. But overall, I think that's an easy analogy. But when we think about stablecoins, we kind of break them out in 3 buckets, and I'm sure some people you can break them out even further. But just maybe for simplicity's sake, you have your centralized, you have your over collateralized, and you have your algorithmic stables. To your point, Justin, I think a lot of people, there's some controversy around stablecoins lately, given everything that happened with Terra and then what happened with the market because of that. Which is very understandable. But I think the most important thing to realize is that there are massive differences in those 3 models. And stablecoins today, I mean, are what some people would say are one of the killer apps of crypto, right? So we have these algorithmic stablecoins that use what a lot of people kind of forget are experimental models. And we see, let's say, a bull market. Those stable coins typically do really well because they can grow the liquidity fast because they have these burn and mint mechanisms, etc. And we oftentimes see, let's say, the over collateralized side. So maybe your DAI or your AUSD, maybe they don't get as much favor. And I think the criticism they might get there is that, you know, they're safer. DAI is pretty tried and true when it comes to stable coins. It's been around for 6-7 years. They're safer, but they're slower. They could be slower to grow, right? Because when we think about collateralized, especially in the real world, if I go and buy a house, I can put 20% down. I don't have to put 120% down to get the house. And that's eventually, I think, the world will move to. But right now, the way we maintain that safer mechanism is typically over collateralization. So I guess to kind of wrap things up, what we're seeing is actually a retracement back to over collateralized. So with the bull market, there was a lot of popularity around Terra, around UST. It grew super fast. Obviously, with everything that happened, we've even seen models that were kind of the same as UST or following in their footsteps shift. And you can even go on DeFi Llama and see, you know, MakerDAO now at the top of the charts. I think last time I checked, it was like 8.6 billion in TVL. So there's kind of this retracement back to this safe model, and for us, being kind of the foundational stable coin of Polkadot and Kusama, we wanted to pick the safest model, but also pick the model that still is decentralized.
And that's a really good point. And, you know, actually the next following panel after is heavily on stablecoins. So I think that panel will dive even further deeper into that too. But what's interesting too, from both Darwinia and Acala's perspective too, I know for Acala, you guys have an EVM Plus, and then Darwinia, you guys are doing cross-chain with either the bridges through Wormhole and even working with, looking at exploring, connecting to IBC and some other chains as well too. So, you know, love to hear from your guys' perspective too. You know, I think that what we forget too when we're like looking at, like, let's say like Ethereum DeFi only or some of the general DeFi, we're always so like thinking of single chain maxi type of things. But when you're taking one step out into like Sama land, Polkadot land, you start thinking about, well, hey, it's more of a multi-chain world and cross-chain world. You know, like we can all coexist. We're all going to do our different things, even if we might be competitive, but we might be able to share liquidity and share that liquidity across multiple chains as well too. So, you know, I don't know whether it be Dustin, Megan, you want to start first? So kind of like your guys' thoughts on cross-chain and multi-chain for what you guys are building towards. Then we can go over to Robinson.
I think Polkadot in general right now, being that we're so early in the ecosystem and things are still being built and integrated, it's kind of like a shopping mall for devs, where the individual shops are application chains that have whatever features that may be required for a smart contract or other kind of dApp. So devs are able to kind of walk into the Polkadot ecosystem at this point and pick and choose the features that they want from individual app chains and kind of all stick them together. So yeah, that's the really great thing about Polkadot, where we have this kind of not competition, but more like co-opetition, where, you know, there doesn't necessarily have to be just one application chain that's doing you know, specific things for the ecosystem. There can be many of them that specialize in different ways. So really exciting technology, and we're very much on the ground level in terms of making it a great user experience. So the great developer experience has to come first.
Yeah, to add on to that is, yeah, we've been able to kind of position ourselves early on in the Ethereum space in that aspect, just building with our project Evolution Land, and then transitioning to Substrate. So we have a very, you know, clear understanding of the EVM in that aspect. But being able to like finalize our decentralized bridging and light clients, utilize our LCMP, our light client messaging protocol, to connect back and forth between in and out points of the Polkadot ecosystem. but then also utilizing future projects, with like composable with their IBC bridging, and then other projects connecting to Near or Solana, and then we could just kind of utilize this multi-chain resources that other niches add value to. And just like to kind of quote Gavin Wood is mentioning that with XCMP and XCM, he doesn't want to just create the one fits, one particular messaging protocol that fits all. Like he wants utility from these other projects and niches, such as Acala adding value to DeFi space, and the EVM Plus, so, Darwinia with their in and out points, opening these HRMP channels, like creating these different protocols that we all can add value to in the substrate ecosystem. So it's exciting being able to have these cross-chain messaging, and how it's becoming a little bit more robust now.
One other topic that I also want to jump into, is NFTs. I know that both Acala and Darwinia, you guys explore a lot of this in terms of the use cases there. Love to hear from your guys' perspective. I know you guys are natively focusing, well, at least on the Acala side, DeFi, but you guys are also exploring NFTs. Same with Darwinia from like the GameFi play to earn as well too. It seems like NFTs and DeFi is kind of merging in a way in different aspects beyond just JPEGs, right? They got GameFi, real world assets as well too. Love to hear from. Let's start with Robinson first on how you guys are potentially looking at NFTs. Is it just right now looking at the collections of JPEGs? That's always great for degens to just jump right in, right? Love to hear from your guys' side about NFTs.
Yeah, definitely. So taking a step back for Acala, we don't necessarily believe, and I actually listened to the panel before this. It was great talking about CeFi, DeFi, user interface, UX, etc. And I agree with a lot of that. I think we've largely figured out what a good user interface is, right? We go on our apps, we can do so much stuff. A lot of it's going to be the back end and what you can do. And so why I'm saying that is because at Acala, we believe the future maybe is like a Web 2.5, if you will. Jack Dorsey would be like, we're already on Web 5. I don't know what you're talking about, but I digress. I think it's going to be a combination of both. So I guess to give an example, so Acala, we just launched our EVM Plus. So it's both an EVM, so Ethereum Solidity builders, devs can come and build, but it's also substrate native. So Polkadot, you could do the same. But so we are working with a really interesting project called Project Bankman, and what they're doing is they're tokenizing loyalty programs. So when we think about NFTs, I think that to your point, Justin, a lot of the original interest, which is great, was maybe a lot of like this JPEG degen interest. But I think the underlying tech is what's really exciting. So for us, with Project Bankman, as I mentioned, they're looking to tokenize loyalty programs. So for instance, what that could look like is, let's say you're an airline, you have multiple different types of status. You have your gold, your silver, your platinum. What if you could tokenize that status, me as a user, and then I could sell off a first class seat, or I could lend it out for a period of time where I'm not traveling. All of a sudden, that membership, let's say, or that loyalty program that you're a part of becomes way more valuable. And even for the business, the airline, they can program in the smart contract a certain amount of let's say a take rate that they would get when those transactions happen. So then they're also benefiting from that as well. So it inherently makes the program more valuable, and it probably helps them get more users, right? Because if I'm not going to be flying for X period of time, this person will be. All of a sudden they're flying with your airline. So for us, to your point, we definitely see DeFi and NFTs kind of bridging the gap. I think a lot of people associate it right now with maybe art or even games, which that is true, but also there's a lot of use cases coming to light in the DeFi space as well. So we're really excited about that project. We have a few others where tokenizing, for instance, we're looking to kind of go this more permission DeFi route as well, along with permissionless. So the concept of tokenizing debt, bringing it on chain. When we think about DeFi compared to traditional finance, the actual debt markets are like, DeFi is a drop in the bucket compared to the real world. So tokenizing debt, bringing those NFTs on chain, Centrifuge does a great job of this, which is a parachain within Polkadot. That has a lot of implications for growing not just a certain chain, not just Polkadot, but all of DeFi together. So I'd say there's a lot of exciting use cases, even with tokenizing invoices, real estate. We've got a really exciting company building on Acala doing that as well. So yeah, that's kind of how we're viewing NFTs and how we're going to be integrating with them for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I want to jump on. So our original project, Evolution Land, is utilizing NFTs, ERC 721s and 1155s. But as we are going forward with the project Evolution Land, we've been able to interoperate with other NFT projects in the space, EVM projects, and bringing them into our game. And originally introducing composability with these NFTs, staking mechanisms with these NFTs, bringing a lot of this utility that is now foreseen as a standard now is becoming a reality. Such projects like RMRK, being able to have these ability to upgrade your NFTs in time and make them more composable as you grow into the space. And then we're also offering NFTs for our Darwinia parachain win. So we're offering in our Discord 8 NFTs for any members that would like to join our Discord. So you'd be able to earn yourself a position in our ecosystem and earn a reward for doing so. And also maybe if Megan wants to add to any of the NFT aspects with Darwinia.
When it comes to NFTs and cross-chain bridging, there's a lot of challenges that still need to be addressed. I mean, a lot of the cross-chain bridges for NFTs are currently custodial and using traditional databases to store information about them. So yeah, we've got a bit of a long road ahead when it comes to getting those truly composable and interoperable across various chains. But there's definitely some exciting things in the works in the meantime. I just want to give a plug for Invarch, who are going to be using NFTs to manage intellectual property rights. So that's a really exciting use case, for example. But yeah, cross-chain bridging for NFTs is still a bit of a challenge.
Definitely, and I think one of the commenters was saying this is kind of like the next phase for DeFi and NFTs. I guess is just that merge between real world assets, real use cases, and tokenizing it, utilizing NFTs as a way to represent some of those assets, and then still have DeFi be able to build the dApps and functionality and smart contracts behind all of that as well. And I think that just understanding that we're not even anywhere close to there yet. That's like the path to kind of pave, and both Darwinia and Acala guys and many others in the parachain ecosystem are building essentially the foundations for that as well too. One thing I wanted to bring up too is Robinson, saw some new things that Acala was launching too. Something called IADS as well. Am I correct in saying that? Can you kind of give us a little deep dive on what that is? That's kind of a new term for some others, but how does that play into what you guys are building for DeFi?
Yeah, definitely, and you're spot on. It's IADS, and it ties into, I guess, this kind of NFT conversation, and I'll try to tie them together. So when we think about over collateralized stablecoins, I think that generally they're viewed as safer, right? And as I mentioned, generally they can be viewed as slightly slower to grow, although we still see MakerDAO at the top of the charts right now. And there's a lot of different strategies, right? So number one, your stablecoin has to have use cases. People have to want to use it, so you have to have it in a lot of places. So if you do that, you'll naturally grow the stablecoin. But at the same time, you have to have collateral. So you have to have things backing the stablecoin, which is, I think, the biggest criticism that a lot of over collateralized stablecoins get. So one of those ways in which you can increase issuance of a stablecoin and increase collateral is by tokenizing debt and bringing it on chain. So tokenizing your assets. It could be a hard asset, maybe your home, or bringing tokenizing debt from a larger institutional firm, bringing that on chain, issuing AUSD as a part of that. And I think MakerDAO candidly has done a great job of this. You know, Acala is definitely exploring this in a few conversations of doing the same for AUSD. So that kind of real world asset combo is, I think, really key. And we've seen it for a specific example, SocGen and MakerDAO. So the French bank, I think they're doing something as well. But another way in which we're starting to see ways in which you can increase, I guess, issuance of an over collateralized stablecoin is what's called protocol to protocol lending. I'm using the MakerDAO to give context. So MakerDAO, for instance, is doing something similar with Aave. I believe some of it's on hold. But the idea for us is that for a small portion of our collateral backing, let's call it a few percentile, we can do this kind of protocol to protocol lending. So we have a protocol or a DApp built on Acala, and they issued a three pool. So we have AUSD, USDT, and USDC. If you offer liquidity to that three pool, you get a yield token. It's 3 USD. It's kind of your standard liquidity mining, right? And if you're in DeFi, you're probably familiar. Now, what we're doing with that three pool is that AUSD, the goal, remember, is to get mint more AUSD, but we need to have backing. So that those protocols talk to each other. We're able to mint AUSD, put it in the three pool. When we put it in the three pool, you generate what's called 3 USD, which is the yield token. And then for part of that AUSD that wasn't put in, that 3 USD then go ahead and backs. It becomes the collateral for the AUSD. So it's a little bit complex, and it is something that we're experimenting with to a certain extent. But it is becoming more of a tried and true mechanism to help increase liquidity and also increase trading venues for AUSD, right? So for stablecoins, the more places it's traded, the safer the peg. So if we can provide more AUSD liquidity, not just for dApps on Acala, but for parachains, and now with our wormhole bridge that's now live, we can provide AUSD to Ethereum, Solana, etc. That's going to help the peg. It's going to help liquidity. So it's a newer concept that we're working on, and keeping kind of a smaller percentage of our overall collateral backing. But needless to say, it's a really exciting DeFi innovation, which I think is what's really exciting. We're seeing MakerDAO try it. We're working on it, and I think we'll see some other protocols do it as well.
Thanks, Robinson. And yeah, we're hitting the tail end here for this short panel here. I know that we'll have to dive a little bit further and deeper into all the .Summit stuff as well. And just we want to share with you guys as well too. At DeFi Summit here, we'll be hosting a Summit focused event later in October. Obviously, we'll have all these guys back on, but we'll be diving super deep into Polkadot and Kusama. Chaos 2022. We'll be putting that out, and that'll be later on in around October. So if you want to deep dive all about what's going on in the ecosystem, we're going to jump into that. And then same with the IBC ecosystem later as well. There's a lot of questions too about how does Polkadot compare to IBC. All I have to say is just stay tuned for the last talk, interoperability. We have two perspectives from the IBC land and substrate land. And we got Acala that sits right in between everybody else well too. A lot of great topics and debate there. And I always say too, like, don't be a max of everything. Everybody's doing cool stuff. Everybody's building on different places. And pretty soon, and Darwinia guys and everybody else can talk about this, IBC and Polkadot are going to be able to interoperate. There's many projects that are working on both sides to make it happen too. So it's not like a winner takes all situation. We're all here to share liquidity, share great ideas, and everybody's innovating there too. Just to wrap things up too, I guess with the Darwinia team and Itering, any last thoughts too, whether it be on the metaverse, GameFi, or anything else looking for the upcoming horizon?
I can add from the Evolution Land side, and maybe Megan can touch on the Darwinia side. So yeah, we have a lot going down. So there's Apostle Arena, which is our new battle system that we have, our PvP. So we've been utilizing interoperating with other projects, like I mentioned, EVM-based projects. So we've been able to integrate a recent one with Polka Pets, and we have others kind of down the line that will be joining us as well. We're going to be introducing more of the 3D aspects, so we're in talks to figure out what that would look like. Essentially, we'll have a ability to kind of manage a space that you can 3D render and be able to showcase your NFTs. We're going to be introducing construction. That's another in our Q4 as well. So we're going to be introducing more aspects to Evolution Land and interoperating with more projects in the space. And throw it over to Megan to add to Darwinia.
Sure. Well, in terms of what we do at Itering, we really focus on interoperability with all our various products, especially for the Polkadot ecosystem and connecting external chains. So we're just really looking forward to getting more chains connected and working with more projects inside and outside the Polkadot ecosystem.
Awesome. And any last thoughts, Robinson, before we end the panel?
No. All I was going to say is feel free to follow Acala Network on Twitter. That's where we send out a lot of announcements about partnerships, product updates, more information on iAds. So definitely feel free to follow us and stay up to date. But thank you for the time.
Yeah, and if you're building DeFi, take a look at everybody's ecosystem funds. There's a lot of funding and support there to help build across all these amazing projects too. And I want to thank everybody again. I'll see you guys again soon in a couple of months to see where you guys are at. And thanks again.
Thanks,
Thank
Justin.
you.
Thank you so much, Justin.